Sounds good. First of all, you know, I really am glad that I'm here because I'm going to be coming to Elizabeth's and Elton's event once a month, except for when I'm going on vacation. And for those of you that have had a one-on-one with me, this is not the kind of talk that typically that I'm going to do in a one-on-one. My whole focus now, and by the way, it's not going to be the kind of talk that typically that I would do if I was going to be speaking for 30 or 40 minutes. I'm going to be more of ad-libbing one way or the other, and then some key points from a networking perspective. And, I want to take a look at the importance of networking. I realized that in 1983. I'm going to date myself a little bit. And let me tell you how I came to realization about the importance of networking. I grew up in Minnesota, and the Gophers, and you can go back and check the history. That particular year, they won one game and lost all the rest. They were outscored by their opponents about 3-1. And a guy by the name of Harvey McKay, who's a 70-year friend of our family, through his networking ability, brought in Lou Holtz, who was one of the top coaches in the time. I think he had just gotten done coaching in the NFL one way or the other. But it was all through networking. Now, Harvey has written 8 books, 7 of them were New York Times bestsellers. And the one from a networking perspective is dig your well before you're thirsty. But I saw the importance of networking and I embraced it wholeheartedly. So I take a look at networking and what I've learned over the years, and everything changed significantly in March of 2020 when I went from in-person networking to online, but the foundation is always the same. But I take a look at networking sort of like a team. If any of you follow any of the pro sports teams, one of the key things about the pro sports teams is they've got a draft every year. They're always looking to improve themselves. So you take a look at, as it relates to your business, what is your highest income producing activity? It's developing meaningful relationships. You want to stay focused and find other team members that can do the things so that you can stay focused on improving your networking skills. When I started off in networking, I wasn't, I was an introvert. At least my wife would always tell me that. I became a situational extrovert. I learned the importance of, communicating, asking questions, listening. So as I take a look at the team and I realize, and I love acronyms for those of you that don't know me very well, and the acronym of team is together everybody achieves mastery. Now, a lot of my um, skills came from network marketing. In fact, that's where I met Jenny Graham Scott, from a common friend of ours, Doris Wood, who's no longer, unfortunately, on the planet. But even though we didn't get to know each other very well back then, she's a legend for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to meet her. And again, going back to networking, I realized the key of developing a team. You know, in the acronym of team, together, everybody achieves mastery. So I wanted to stay focused on my highest income producing activities, learning how to meet people and developing quality connections. And one of the guys that I met, and he was here I think it was last month, James Feldman, he helped me understand 3D thinking because part of the key in networking and one of the biggest mistakes that people make in networking is they go right into a pitch. They don't do their exploration. You want to understand what's going on in the other person's world. What is 3D thinking? It's discovering what the other person does and is doing to advance. Every time I go into a conversation, I go in with the idea that the other person's an entrepreneur, they're doing something, or they want to, change or pivot or whatever the case is. But I want to understand what's going on because I know that I've got something I can offer. See, I understand 3 C's and 3 D's. The 3 C's are most people are confused. All you have to do is take a look at what's happening in the world today. Lots of confusion. Second C is most people are challenged. And the third C is certainty that I can help them, but I'm not going to be able to help them as it relates to networking unless I take the time to understand what they're doing, what they do, what they're doing. The second D in the three Ds is determination. I've come to the realization that there's a lot of what I call wantapreneurs. They say they want something, but the reality is they're not going to do the things necessary to create the results that they think that they want. And the last D, but I don't get into this on the first um, conversation, is distance from where they are to where they want to be. My main objective and part of how I look at networking is you want to have some kind of a systematic approach in relationship to what you're doing. So the systematic approach, and my acronym for system, is shape your strategy to execute and multiply. So my first conversation with them is just to give them massive value, because I know that they're probably not talking to enough of the right people. So when March of 2020 started, the first thing I did is started creating a list of networking events. And originally I'd just give them, there was like 60 different networking events. Now I give them a list of the ones I go to and some of the other ones, not a lot of the other ones that I don't go to, but they're good networking events because I'm determining who shows up. Is somebody really showing up at some of these networking events? It's a sign, and I want to make sure that I'm going to be, whoever I might, end up working with, that they are serious and committed about wanting to go forward. So part of the key in networking is ultimately understanding what's in the other person's world. Are they serious and committed? See, I learned that networking is a bridge to creating the kind of impact that you aspire. When I started my career back in 1983, 84, my whole objective was to make a lot of money. I made a lot of money. But at one of the networking events that I was at, one of the guys, in the audience asked a very simple, but a very, for me, it was a very pivotal question. Says, what's the meaning of life? And the guy that was running the event, without even thinking, says to live a life of meaning. And so that sort of like really changed how I looked at everything. Because I know that there's a lot of people that, you know, say that they want to be successful. And I know that networking is the answer one way or the other. Then I also came to the realization that your net worth is in direct relationship to the strength of your network. So when you're networking, sure, we want to make sales. We want to have people buy from us. But the two key things that
Six, because I'm in a network meeting first.
somebody's, got to mute.
Everybody, please, can you mute?
Yeah, okay. Part of the key to yeah, yeah. Part of the key to networking is besides, wanting to make your sales and transactions is find people you can help and find people you can mastermind. I look at a lot of the people that are in my inner circle, people that I met through networking, like Elizabeth and Elton, like James Feldman, like Tom Gay, who I've introduced. Um, you know, Elizabeth, and I've introduced a lot of other people, but you've got people that are resources around you. So the purpose, purpose in networking is to be remembered, develop meaningful relationships, and ultimately, you know, you know, have clarity in your intention. And my intention is to make those meaningful relationships. The only way that you're going to be able to do that if you understand your metrics. I take a look at, my metrics because if I'm going to tell people or suggest to people that they need to be talking to more people, I got to lead by example. I'm not going to tell people to do something I'm not doing. Not that I have to worry about making more money, but obviously, as an entrepreneur, I want to make more money. So my metrics are I do approximately 50 hours of networking every single month. And that nets me approximately 100 one-on-ones. And a lot of people say, gosh, that's a lot. But again, I want to live a life of meaning. I want to focus on knowing at the end of my life that I showed up every single day. First of all, I love what I do because I know that I can, help other people. And part of the key, and here's one of the key things, and I was talking about doing your exploration. And what I learned a long time ago is multiple streams of income. So how does that apply to networking? Well, and by the way, where I learned it, I went through an event called, at the time it was IBI that became CEO Space. Some of you might have heard about it, and they taught MSI. And when I went through it, Robert Allen went through at the same time, and a month later comes out with his book, Multiple Streams of Income. But the point about streams of income as it relates to everything going on, if I'm talking to somebody, for example, whatever it is, in fact, when I talked to Sean, and I found out some of the things he needed, I guided him to a couple people that could be very probable, quality connections. When, Nico met Elizabeth because I realized based on what she's doing, it could be the right connection. Now, not that I'm making any money from those connections. That's not the point because quite often relationship currency is more important than cash. Now, there are certain times when I guide people to certain people, I do make some affiliate income. Now, where I've made millions of dollars in which is really misunderstood, is in MLM or network marketing. In fact, that's where I originally met Jenny, was at a network marketing event way back in the day. But, the key in multiple streams of income, and as people really understand or would understand MLM, and our common friend talks about MLM as making life meaningful, another acronym, but it's really an affiliate program on steroids. That's really what MLM is today in relationship because of technology and everything else. So, but part of multiple streams of income, there's people you're going to have affiliates with. For example, one of the guys that I work with, he helps people get credit cards. That's a stream of income. There's many different ways based on what you do that you can have have another stream of income. Because if I'm talking to one person and what I have isn't right, and again, the key in everything is you need to do your exploration before you segue into a presentation. What you don't want to look like is the guy or the lady that opens up their trench coat and says, "Which watch do you want?" You want to custom it based on the other person's need so that you're always positioning yourself as that trusted advisor. You're there to help the other person because how you position yourself and are you congruent with the things that you say and that you do. So the point about networking and everything that you're doing is networking is a bridge to creating the kind of lifestyle, the kind of impact that you aspire. And if you do it right, and I can attest to it because I've done it right full time since September 7th, 1990. Psychologically unemployable. I'm willing to, of anybody that I meet, with Elizabeth, I'm happy to have a one-on-one conversation, be totally focused on value to you. I know that Nico and Sean, who I've had one-on-ones with, and other people, because part of it, and there's an old parable, and if you haven't read it or seen it, it's called the starfish thrower, and you can go to YouTube and you can just put in the starfish thrower. You know, as a guy throws in the next starfish, he said, "I made a difference to that one." What is the purpose of life? Is to live a life of meaning in helping other people get more clarity and more focus so that they can create the success that they're aspire for. So with that, I can open up for questions or I could continually talk, but I know I rambled. If my speech coach was here, which he was last time, and when I'm talking, I use a PowerPoint to keep on track so I'm more systematic. So, any questions as it relates to anything that I've had, commented about?
Okay. Ginny?
Oh, yeah, no, Robert, I didn't know that. I didn't remember that we even met, and it's amazing. It was like over 3 decades ago. And, I'm not doing MLM anymore. I've been working as a ghostwriter, but it's just, it's intriguing because I wrote some books about multi-level back in the day.
That's how I remember you. Because of your book. That's
Well,
exactly it.
that's interesting because I met Doris Wood, and I like your idea of being a situational extrovert because I guess that's what I am. I do writing and I say work at home.
Um, Robert, I have a question.
Sure.
If you could expand about the importance of preparation when you were about to and I see that so much in my networking when people come to meet with me unprepared and how important is preparation before you meet with someone so that you can not uh, so that you can ask the right questions, learn about them, and give them massive value.
It depends. And when I say it depends for myself, I don't feel it's important. For almost everybody else, I think it is. And let me explain it because it goes back to my strategy. All I want to know is what somebody does and what they're doing. I don't care about anything else because I'm going to give them a list. But for 99% of the other people, I think it's extremely important. I mean, every time I'm in a room, and I learned something very valuable from you today, Nico, in a room because we're at a breakout room, and I'm always listening, and that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they're thinking about what they want to say rather than listening to what other people say as they're
Mhm.
talking about LinkedIn. But for most people, preparation is very important. You can take a look at, I mean, I take a 30-second look at somebody's LinkedIn, and that's about it. But for
Mhm.
most people, I think it's very important one way or the other.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? I mean, obviously, if I was going to prepare something that I wanted you to have a video on me, preparation is very important. I can't, be scattered like I was right now because I think there's two types of speaking. There's more of the intuitiveness and just showing up based on the audience, or if you're giving a presentation that you want to stay on point from point to point.
No, my question comes more from a feeling, if you will, that when I do invest in preparation before I talk to someone, and I think part of networking, part of meeting with people is showing that you care and by preparing yourself and knowing something about the person you are meeting beforehand, it shows that you care. Because I sometimes I meet people and I do a lot of networking, as you know. Sometimes I meet people and I understand that they have no idea up front who I am and what I do. And I'm past finding it offensive, but I understand that I think it's important in establishing a rapport, and you want to establish a rapport with the person you're talking to show that yeah, I care about what you do, and I did some homework, and it's for me it's a sign of respect, and respect is I feel it's very important here in networking.
Let me give you a comment. It's what a friend of mine once said, "You be right, I'll be rich." I'm not going to get into any kind of questions and disagreements one way. You've got your strategy for myself because I know I've got something available. I care about everybody.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
You
I
know,
know. I know you do.
yeah, I truly care about everybody, but I'm going to, ask them a couple questions up front. I mean, part of the key from my perspective is I always want the person to go first. Now, if they ask me to go first, I'm going to give them two or three words in relationship to what I do, and then I want to understand what they do because
Yep.
I want to be able to show them that that I've listened. I'm asking questions. That's showing, from my perspective, that's showing that I care
Uh-huh.
because again, it goes back to doing your exploration before you figure out what's going to be appropriate that's going to help the other person. My total focus is helping the other person every time I have a conversation, no matter who it is. So I always care, but everybody's got a strategy as it relates to what they're doing. The point is, if it's working, if you understand your metrics and you're happy with it and it's getting you where you want to be, that's what's important.
Mhm.
I'll say one thing. I met Robert through another person from Reliable, and I would say 32 years, Robert could be probably my father. But anyhow, I do what he does, which is I let them speak because I want to learn more about what they're doing, what I can do to help them out. Because I have Robert's philosophy is he knows I'm going to work until I pass, and he understands why, not about the money. But I care about everyone in the world. My mom said, "When's it going to be enough? When's it going to be enough money?" And she finally gets it at 82. It's not about the money. So I'm always asking everyone about what it is can I do to help you create value? Because if I do that, then the 80/20. So that's just what I do with Robert is when I talk to anybody, I always want them to go first so I can get to know them better. And I'm probably going to get a lot of my questions answered if I sit back and keep my mouth quiet and just listen. So that's my take.
Yeah. And let me throw one piece into that whole equation, because a lot of people in what we do are people pleasers. You need to understand your boundaries, meaning, there's certain people you can spend 2 minutes with, not 2 hours. Others you can spend 2 hours with, not 2 days. You got to understand, because otherwise, there are more takers than givers in the world. So it gets to the point that you've given enough where you got to say or invite them to take the next step and monetize one way or the other, whatever those boundaries are for yourself.
And I just want to add one thing to what Robert said. It's so important, a giver. And I've always been, I want to give, give, give. I really don't care about me personally. And I just want to give my wisdom, my knowledge, and expertise. Because if I do that, then I'm going to impact the global society. And as long as I do that, it will come back. But that's not why I'm doing it. So that's my two take of what Robert was saying.
I have a question about the this meeting somebody. What happens when you meet somebody who has your same philosophy where they want to get more information about you before they give information?
Um, again, that's why I said I make it short, or uh, I a lot many people would data dump. I want to get to the relevant facts and then go, focus on them. So if somebody really says it, they want to know, again, I try to keep it as short as possible, and then I focus them. If they still want to know more, then I'll give them a little bit more about me. I mean, there's so much I could talk about myself, but I'm more interested in the other person because I think that shows that I care about the other person.
No, what I'm suggesting though is you might run into somebody who has the same philosophy where they care more about the other person, and so you're kind of in this situation. You want to know more about them, they want to know more about you.
How I normally position it is, um, I'm happy to tell you more, but my main focus is to be of value to you right now,
Yeah.
because I'm under the assumption right now that most people are not talking to enough people or in the right ways.
Okay.
And I know what my numbers are. And if you
Yeah.
take a look at what are your numbers, how many new people are you talking to? How many referrals? I'm not asking you to answer the question. So I want to focus on showing up and being a value up front. So the sooner I can gain control and help, you know, be of value to that person, it's got a better chance of developing a long-term quality relationship.
Thank you.
So true. So true.
Other questions as it relates to anything that we're talking about, anything about networking? Part of what I do is I've got something, first of all, there's something I copy and paste and I put in every breakout room. But now I'm listening when somebody's speaking and I've got something I can copy and paste and it goes something like this. I like what you said. I'd like to see about how we can collaborate. Could you book a time on my calendar? Most people are not going to take a proactive stance. So my whole intention is to have the one-on-ones. And when you're in the breakout room, if you are listening and showing up and positioning yourself by the fact that I've got a great contact for you. Here's a resource for you. People are judging you. Any way you want to, however you want to look at, they're judging you based on what you do or don't do. So might as well show up as somebody that's a giver and showing from contribution based on showing up. In fact, somebody just wrote a song which I'll send to Elizabeth and she can use that one way or the other. But it's talking about my tagline is my name's Robert Baldwin. What I really want you to remember when you connect with Robert, you do nothing but win. And he wrote a whole song about that I just got today. But all I can tell you is what's working for me. And I'm crushing it in a real positive way. And things are continually getting better. It
I have
didn't,
another.
Robert,
and it didn't happen, in March of 2020, even though I had the foundation of networking for a long period of time, I had to refine myself. I had to, just like everybody else, I had to pivot. I had to learn all that kind of stuff. Somebody's going to say something. Was that?
I was going to say, I've only met Robert last week or this week, and I can just say your network is a net wealth, and it's not what you know, it's really who do you know. And he just connected me. I'm not going to mention this situation, but someone in Arizona. That person connected me to an athlete. I'm not going to say it, but the athlete, he played for the Spurs. He won a championship in 2014. So thanks to Alignable, thanks to Robert, he connected me to someone in Arizona who connected me to this athlete. And so all I can say is the power of networking is beyond priceless. And I'm getting nuggets from a guy that could be my father that I wish I would have been doing this when I was 25 years old.
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
have another question.
Sure.
I've been on and off as a member of a networking referral organization called BNI, and I wondered if you're familiar with them. And
I am.
have you been involved with that group?
The answer is no, and I'm happy to share why I think there's better groups. I don't. First of all, I don't. Part of in BNI, and I know I heard Ivan Meisner speak, and
Yeah.
he said that he's a situational extrovert. That's where I came up with that term.
Oh,
But because he was on Clubhouse way back when it first started, I don't want to be dictated that I need to give a referral. I believe people earn referrals.
yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
It's interesting. Robert said this. He's just said it now, but this happened about a month ago on a platform. And so I just said to this person, I'm going to go ahead and connect you with XYZ person because I believe you have some synergy. And the person says, well, can I pay you for it? I said, no, no, you don't need to pay me for it. How you're going to pay me for it is when I get a call from Rich and he said, thank you so much, I connected you. And his client benefited from it. And so when you can refer out and know you get a call from Rich that says, Sonia called you and the client is very happy because of Rich. That is worth more than money because of reputation, 55, 32 years old, and 32 years in this business. So I often just say, call this person. And they're like, what can I pay you? No, you don't need to pay me. So it's really paying it forward and it's doing exactly what Robert said. So that's just my 2 cents. I don't know if it's because of my age, but I'm just taking off what Robert said.
did we answer the question of BNI, or we sort of jumped in? Did you have a further question as far as something more? I mean, there's so many free networking events out there. If you do a one-on-one and Elizabeth can give you um, my information, I can give you a whole list of networking events and I can walk you through based on what you do, which ones are more appropriate accordingly. Sean will tell you this, I did the same thing for him. There's a
Yeah.
lot in, anyhow, that's a whole other piece. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've gotten occasionally referrals. Mostly, I've just given referrals to people, but I haven't gotten a lot of business. With a few exceptions, I haven't gotten a lot of business from the group. A lot of them are real estate people and financial people, and they're kind of in their own little world about that.
well, And that's why I said there's more takers than givers, and that's where, if you're with a bunch of takers, you want to change communities. I mean, there's a variety of different strategies as it relates to the different things that you're doing that will put you in the right communities. And sometimes it takes getting out of your comfort level. And I'll give you an example after Elizabeth asked a question.
To answer to Ginny, one of the things that I do is I always ask people if they have an affiliate program. Because then what happens is, if they have an affiliate program, then you get paid if they give you a referral. So if you're referring someone to them, and let's say that person gets paid out of the referral, of course, if they didn't get paid, then you didn't get anything and they didn't get anything. But affiliate programs really work, and you can reciprocate and say, look, if you give me business, then I'll pay you a commission. And usually the standard commission is anywhere from 10 to 15%, is what people pay. And you'll be surprised how many checks you can collect with referral business and affiliate marketing. It really works. So
Yeah.
that before you refer anyone to anyone, I would ask the question, by the way, do you have a referral program or an affiliate program? And most people will say, yes, we do. And then you'll say, okay, great. I can refer clients to you. And then we have an understanding. So that way you
Yeah.
won't feel bad that you referred someone and you never got paid from it. And I
Yeah.
get paid all the time. I refer people for business and I get paid all the time.
Well,
So
I
it
have a
really
10%
works.
referral fee, but in BNI, they tend not to have referral fees at all.
There's a there's another networking group called the Connective that's similar to BNI, but it's different because they've got referral fees. That's what I'm saying. If if you're in a community, whatever the community is, and it's not giving you an ROI on your time, your most valuable commodity. And let me take what Elizabeth said to the next level. Let's say somebody says, I don't have a referral, and quite often I'll ask it not because I'm interested, but part of the key of helping somebody else, if they're offering something for sale and they don't have a referral program, I can guide them to somebody that can set that up because I gave you the acronym of SYSTEM, shape your strategies to execute and multiply. If you've got some kind of referral program set up in relationship to what you're doing, assuming that that's right for that, it will give that person will get more business from that.
Well, I would like to know about the connector program you talked about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You can put
Uh,
it in the chat. So
yes.
one of the things we want everyone to do is to put your information in the chat. So, for example, if you want people to connect with you, like Robert has a calendar link, so you can go right away and make an appointment with him with his calendar link. So if you want people to go to your website and make an appointment with you, then put that link in the chat. If you don't want people to contact you and you don't want to be solicited, then don't put anything in the chat. But if you want to do business with people and meet people after this event, make sure that your information is in the chat. Now, one of the things I want to tell everyone, and I'm going to really make this my business, that everybody starts to make money. Because I heard Sean saying that, I like helping people. We all like helping people. But when you're in a profit business, so if you're in a non-profit and you're doing community service and you're an NGO, then yes, you can volunteer your time and you do your things for free. But if you're in business, you really have to get business skills, which is to sell. Many people say, oh, I don't want to sell. I don't want to, and sometimes you have a long Zoom meeting and you find out everything about they had a divorce and, they tell you their whole life story and you didn't sell anything after an hour of talking to someone. So you want to really, really have a call to action. What is it that you want out of the meeting? What do you want from this person? If you want referrals, then get referrals. If you want an affiliate paid, get a paid connection. If you want to sell a book, sell the book. Because if you guys don't make any money, then y'all can't pay me for my sponsorships. And so, we just hired Nico to do all our reels and our videos and everything. And we won't be able to pay Nico if y'all don't pay us. So I'm really going to make it my business that everyone who comes on my Zoom, I'm going to teach you how to make money, because it's number one that you'll all start to make money. And that's why we're doing the pitch competition.
Yeah.
So I would, every time you speak to someone, ask them directly, do you have a referral program? Do you pay for referrals? And you'll be surprised how many people do. And then, of course, people who don't, they don't. And then if you want it out of goodness of your heart to help someone, that's always a good thing. Another thing that I have recently started doing, which I never did before, is if someone disrespects you, like when people, I give free appearances on my show all the time. But if someone says, "Oh, I never pay for such a thing," then I just tell them, then, I don't want to do business with you either. Because if someone can tell you to your face that they never, ever, ever, ever want to pay you, then, your time is not worth anything to them. So you really want people to respect you, and you really want to be good at asking for money and asking for a lead and asking for a referral. Because if you don't ask, guess what? You could spend an
You don't
hour
get.
with people and get nothing out of the meeting. So, anyway, so that was my 2 cents, Robert. And I think Samara has a question.
Thank you, Elizabeth. All good points. Robert and I actually met in Clubhouse in 2020, 2021. I just looked that up. It's been a while. He looks a little different from his photo from back then, too. So I think that it's amazing to have networks all over the place. For someone, well, Elizabeth met me yesterday when I was on her Zoom. But I've lived in 13 states, 2 countries, and 31 homes. Like, I'm literally a professional reinvention maverick. Not professional, it's actually, I don't get paid to do it. I just have to do it. And so reinventing yourself, starting over, networking, creating a village is something I've had to do for myself, my businesses, my kids, and my whole family, right? So it's natural for me, and I recognize that it's not natural for so many other people. But my biggest recommendation with networking is not to put all your eggs in one basket. I have been traveling around the country trying to get away from some of the Phoenix, Scottsdale ancestral networks. And in doing that and going to California, Vegas, and all these other places, a lot of the same people are going there too. And I'm like, I love you. I want to spend time with you, but I don't want to network with you in every state. Like, but at the same time, it's good to have people who are talking about you, know you, because it's not just who you know, it's who knows you and who trusts you. And so if I'm in a room and Robert remembers me, he would know me as Actionista Live. He'll probably recognize my old profile photo from Facebook, I mean from Clubhouse. But if he remembered me or Elizabeth remembered me and we're networking out and about, and I'm a big hugger. I'm a 5 foot tall, like little thing, but I hug like I'm 8 feet tall. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. And, Nico's over there. He's like, oh, you know her? Who is that? And what does she do? And blah, blah, blah. And then they're talking about you. And that's one of the greatest gifts that you can get. That's the referral, world. I mean, Ginny does publishing and writing. I assign authors to publishers and editors and ghostwriters, and then they white label my best-selling author programs and book placement. And so that's a partnership, a collaboration where we do different things, but we do them together. Ginny wouldn't be my only publisher. I have like 6, right? Because everyone has different price points, personalities, wait lists, whatever. So, but it's great for us all to meet in this kind of way. I actually love, Elizabeth, that your groups have been pretty intimate. I missed the one last night. I apologize, but it's great to have new groups. I love when I go into a Zoom and I don't know anyone or I only know one person because it's rare these days, right?
If you connect with me, I'll give you a bunch of them. You
Yeah.
ask Sean or anybody else. I mean, I do 50 a month, 50 hours a month.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Robert,
mean, I do
one
big
of,
stuff and I'm on
yeah,
stages, so stages are my thing now, but yeah, I mean, and BNI is one of those where they force a lot on you. I go as a guest to BNI, so I recommend doing that. You can go to every BNI chapter in the country or the world as a guest for free once or twice, actually twice.
yeah.
I just this is Sean. I just want to follow up with what Elizabeth said. I have an affiliate program too, and I had one person that says, "Well, I don't want any money. I'm just going to refer you." And I'm like, "Can I just donate it to a charity?" And they're like, one person said no, and that person's like, "Sure." So for me, it's just like,
Oh,
and Robert and I talked about this, is like distribute the knowledge, distribute the wealth, distribute the wisdom and expertise, because that's really what it's about. So I'm just grateful that I met Robert through a contact, because I'm definitely going to soak it in and learn as much as I can from Robert. But um, I love when people have affiliate programs, because it makes them feel that you respect and appreciate what they have. So that's my two
yeah.
cents on affiliate.
Let me jump in because I gotta go. But Samara, you'll talk about wanting to be on stages. Right off the top, do you know Amana Guy? He bought Jackie Luplin's business. Do you know Event Raptor? They do 2 networking events a month for people that either have stages looking to get on stages. JV Directory would be another one if you Mark Dave Ricklin and Mark Porteous. Two major networking events a month. James Lambs has got another one coming up. Um, I can get you on stages, or guide you to places that you can get on stages and they're all free. Or you've got Speakers Playhouse with Kimberly Crow. Now
Yep.
there's
I know.
nothing to go on hers, but in the meantime, all of her places are paid to get on those stages. And they're
Yeah.
not very much money, 50 or $100, not a big deal. One sale that you'll make will more than pay for the stage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we help people land stages for that reason.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Well, good. Sean Cook, I know you're driving, so you can't drop your info in, but I tried to find you, and there's a lot of Sean Cooks out there. So can someone put his info in the chat?
Uh,
And by the
I'll
way,
give you my number.
yeah.
It's 425-786-3545, 425-786-3545. And my email address is sean@gprsaves.com. It's SEAN at G is in going, P is in Peter, R is in rookie, saves out, SAVES.com. I just want to say one thing.
I
Um,
didn't catch that
I
at
want to
all,
help
but
out. Like,
Elizabeth will have it.
oh, it's SEAN at GPRsaves.com. And my phone number is 425-786-3545. And Robert has my information, but I just want to say, I want to give and help out as many people as I can, as long as I'm on this universe, to provide my knowledge of 32 years of supply chain management to help out anybody.
Yeah. And by the way, Samara, now, and then I gotta go. The lady, and I sent you her direct information, Melanie Fox. If and when you meet her, she's a good speaker. She's a major connector. And if you were there, giving her a hug, you guys would be looking eyeball to eyeball from what she told me, because she's very short. I've never met her, but I'm just telling you what she's told me. Anyhow, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully I've answered, it's been worth your time. And I've got to run. I've got another engagement right now.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. Everybody, please give him a big applaud. I thought he did a fantastic job, and I hope everybody learned a few tips and tricks on networking. And yes, he has a list of networking events, so make sure you connect with him and get a meeting with him, because the first time that I met Robert, it helped me tremendously. So that meeting was one of the best meetings I've ever had. So make sure you get that appointment going with him. So thank you so much. And I just want to make an announcement. So today we are officially starting a pitch competition, and we'll be doing one every single month. And we normally record you anyway, but we thought it would be good if we could do some pitches. And since Nico's going to help me with the videos, I'm going to help. He's going to be one of the judges. I thought Robert would be one of the judges, but Robert has to leave. So Elton, me, and Nico will be the judges. Now, if you're out of America, then we can't give you the coffee. So what we'll do is we'll give you a gift certificate for Brightside. And so you will be able to get an interview with us, and then we could give you a sort of sponsorship deal if you win. Now, we're going to have the competition every month. So at the end, we will pick the top winners, and then we'll of course do a fantastic blowout in December and do a grand pitch with all the ones that have won. So we'll keep defining it as we go along. So today, we are giving away. We are giving you a chance to win. I was going to run the competition today, but I just didn't get my numbers right. So we're going to give you the $1,000 gift certificate from Estee World, which is a Turkish medical tourism hospital. So if you need any cosmetic surgery or hair implants or any beauty treatments, or if you need a hip surgery or anything major that you might be needing, or dental implants, you can go to Turkey and they will take care of you like a VIP. So they are giving you each a free VIP consultation. So if anybody wants that free VIP consultation, drop it in the chat so that I can connect you to them, and they will give you a free VIP consultation. And then we will do the drawing next month, because we have our men's conference and we have Juneteenth event. So it's going to be a big blowout next month. So we will run that competition then. But if you win today, and since we are such a small group, it's easy. If you're in the United States, you will get a complimentary coffee set, and I will figure out something if you're international, because I'm really good with prizes and we have a lot of sponsors. Casey is my newest sponsor. So Casey, I don't know if you want to show your face and tell us about CF Media. We are going to be partnering with them. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do? And thank you so much for your sponsorship.
Yeah, so I work with entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs, similar to Sinidra, who you hear from in a minute. And I will work with them on growing their visibility online and also getting access to media exposure to grow their business.
Fantastic. So thank you so much. And I'm so excited because we're going to be working with you on Juneteenth and our men's conference, which is really fabulous. So thank you both for coming in earlier. We had a whole day yesterday, and so we're on to it. So I'm going to hand over the mic, as they say, to Elton, who's going to run the pitch competition. So each of you will get 5 minutes to pitch. He's going to give you instructions on how to do it.
Greetings. Yes.
Well, let me stop recording.
Okay, let me record.
This